Good evening, and welcome to the ShadowTrader video weekly for Monday, May 26th, 2008, holiday edition today, coming out one day later, obviously, because markets are closed today for the Memorial Day holiday. I stepped away from my desk on Friday, and I did not witness the selling that happened on Friday firsthand. That would, of course, be this day here in the broad market. We did come right into a 50 MA, which is the red line on the daily S&P, and we could have a support area here because notice we did have prior highs here. We talked about this 1380 before as being relatively key in past videos. You can see all the way back here, February, we had a cluster there. We stopped there again in April, right? We broke on through and then used it as a launching point here in later April, right? Which then pushed this rally up just over the 200 MA to our 1440 target. Right, and then we sold off, and notice that not only is the rising 50 catching us here, but we have some support here. So this could be an area where buyers are going to step into the market. But what I'm about to show you is what I think is problematic here is that even though it could be an area of support where all stocks get lift, it's kind of difficult to say at this juncture where to put the money, meaning where the leaders are going to be. And one of the reasons for that is simply because oil, which has been driving this recent rally here and this whole section up in here, is acting very, very toppy, and I'll show you why. This has been a very narrow rally, which has been mostly defined by the XOI, Amex Oil Index, the OSX, which is the Philadelphia Oil Services Center, and these various oil and gas exploration stocks, which are easily charted using the XOP. Now, on this specific XOP, which is the ETF for, like I said, oil and gas exploration and production stocks, I want you to notice a couple of things. First of all, you have a trend here that's primary, secondary, tertiary, right? We've talked about this before. When you're able to draw three trend lines on an uptrend, it's just getting too steep. It's probably going to pause, okay? Secondly, topping tail, and mind you, this is on a weekly. Remember, these weekly shadows and tails here are very powerful because it's a long time frame. And thirdly, look at the volume, right? Enormous, right? And the situation technically as far as the topping tail candlesticks looks the same on that XOI. And I didn't draw the trend lines on this one, but you can easily see it would go 1, 2, and then 3. It would be the same thing, right? And that OSX, which backed off the most, looks like it's probably going to take a little bit of pause here. Now, all this has been driven by the rise in the actual commodity, obviously. So if we look at oil using an ETF again, right? Same thing. We can draw three trend lines here. Probably getting a little bit toppy, right? And also USO is another one that we use for oil, right? If you don't have the futures, same thing. So one of the problems with this market going forward for this particular week, since I always like to look forward and not just back, I want to give you ideas on what to trade, is basically where to go. I don't think energy is the spot. This may actually be a time to put on a small short position in some of these. One of the most aggressive bets obviously would be Doug, which is this is kind of like an ultra pro shares for inverse oil and gas, right? Also with a bottoming tail, so obviously this is an inverse ETF. So as those aforementioned sectors I was talking about pull back, notice that they made topping tails. This one made a bottoming tail. So there is a possibility there. Another thing which has me a little bit concerned is that when I go through my list of sectors of some of the things that have also been leading, such as transportation, excuse me, you can see that you have this bearish engulfment on the weekly. So basically you have a leading sector that is no longer going to be a leading sector. There's not much there. Railroads, which fall underneath the TRAN, right? GAUSRR, right? Look at this tail here. Same thing, topping tail. So I might be looking at some of these to pull back a bit. And then deeper into the oil and gas spectrum, look at the big cap leaders such as CVX here, right? Huge topping tail on the weekly. ExxonMobil made a triple top here and backed off at resistance. So there's really no trade here. CBX may be a short play, but you're going to be fighting the tide. It would be kind of just a pullback play. You might want to play it for a Fibonacci. I actually like this. This is not really bad because when I see tails like this on the weeklies, they're very powerful. Remember, I wouldn't trust this so much if it was a daily, but on the weekly, I would be looking at it. So this is what I'm seeing in the market basically going forward. Is you have an S&P that is oversold and is coming into an area of prior support, right? Here, and then we use this 13.8 as a launch. But like I said, what's going to lead it? It's really hard to say. Financials obviously are not. They continue to look like crap. That XLF is rolling over and is looking even worse. The BKX banking index, same thing, obviously, on the heels of that. XBD, which is brokers, same thing. There's really nothing there. Semiconductors had a nice run with everything else that was tech, but have made candles lining up same size bodies on the weekly. So it's kind of like, where are you going to go? Where are you going to look? We're going to continue to be looking at the strong fundamental names that should buck these trends. Those are the names that we list in the bulls section of the bulls and bears section of the newsletter. So keep watching there. We will be looking for probably a broad market buy, to be honest with you, just because it's such an oversold condition. Watching this 60-minute trend line, definitely in the spider, right? Notice that there was very clearly a move down, a base, a move down, a base, a move down, a base. So you have one move, two move. You have three major moves down. I think if tomorrow we have any more puking down below here, it'll probably be a buying opportunity, and then you can add to the position here over the 138.50 area or wherever this trend line extrapolates down to, right? A gap up tomorrow morning would certainly disappoint bears, and I would say is probably also buyable with a tight stop under the consolidation here, because remember, whenever you have a consolidation like this, it's essentially building pressure, right? And it's going to move the market higher just on short covering, right? Especially if we can clear this, take out this hourly bar. So watch for a spider 138.40. All right, that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, it's a relatively light commentary for the reasons I said. There's just not that much out there right now. Oils do look like they've had their day. So it looks like there's going to be consolidation or pullback in that sector. I would say if you're going to play these to the short side, be careful, because remember, you are fighting the dominant trend, but it is super overextended. So with leadership and energy failing, rallies could be shorter lived here. We may be moving back into bear market action where this S&P is going to continue to roll over and maybe retest this area, but that's very hard to say. Definitely bearish engulfment on the weekly is not a chart that you want to get long right away, or at least it's not a chart that you want to get long with the conviction, that you're going to race back up to the 1440 area. I think it's going to be relatively tough sailing here. We could probably move into an area similar to that we had here in early 08, where there was just a cluster of prices and we kept backing and filling. I said this in past focus reports recently, and I think we've mentioned this in the video, that we could be looking for some backing and filling here. So basically, be very selective out there and be careful. All right, that's all I have for today. On behalf of myself and the entire ShadowTrader team in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and of course, as always, from all the good people in Chicago, Illinois, at the one and only Think or Swim, happy Memorial Day. I wish you good trading and good night.